Good afternoon. Welcome to the Board of Aldermen Workshop, Salado Municipal Building, 301 North Stagecoach Road, Salado, Texas. It's April 2nd, 2026, and it's at 1700. Kathy, call the roll. Here. Thank you. All right, number one, public comments. Items not on the agenda. The Board of Aldermen welcomes comments from citizens on issues and items of concern not on the agenda. Those wishing to speak must sign in before the meeting begins and observe a 5-minute time limit when addressing the board. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak during this time. Inquiries about matters not listed on the agenda will either be directed to staff or placed on a future agenda for Alderman consideration. No discussion or final action will be taken by the Board of Aldermen during the public comment period of the meeting. I have one. David.
David Seward, 1216 Mill Creek Drive. I'm the chair of Salado Music Friendly Community Advisory Board, and we are Music Salado, the nonprofit that administers the music friendly program. I wanted to give you guys a quick update on our plans for the chili cook-off. April 25th is quickly approaching. I want to thank you guys for working with us and sticking with the same plan that worked so well last October for us. We are anticipating a larger crowd, but we won't know that obviously until day of. We do have a live interview scheduled next Wednesday on KWTX in the afternoon news segment. So we'll be promoting the event and obviously the Village. I brought with you a sample of one of the prizes that'll be going out to several of the winners, made here in Salado at Bling It. And if you're the first place winner, you'll also get one that says Chili Champ on it. So just a cool thing. And then we have a military veteran who is 3D printing our trophies like last year. We have received several sponsorships from local businesses. So I'm proud to say that all of the businesses that have sponsored us are all Salado businesses. So it's really turning out to be a community event. I know I've spoken with several of you individually. Mr. Laster, you were kind enough to volunteer to help us out that day. We're probably going to hold you to that. Mayor Pro Tem, we're going to need you as a judge this year again if you'd like. Alderman Dunch, I'm hoping you'll come in and maybe take home an apron or first prize this year. So we're looking forward to seeing do it. Yes. This year we have two categories. We've got the official category that by God, no beans shall ever be close to chili. And then we've got the open category, which is just about having fun and to heck with rules. So again, it's all about having fun, a good community event. Our main entertainment that afternoon after the awards ceremony are a duo that were featured on American Idol. And they were also on an episode of the popular TV show Undercover Boss, Kurt and Hannah. They will be performing after we hand out the awards that afternoon. So lots of good things in store. We just need the weather to hold off. But thanks to Ms. Pence, we also have reservations for Pace Park in case we do get some rain. So everything's looking good, and we appreciate y'all's continued support.
Awesome. Thank you.
April 25th. See, now it's on record. Now you can't say you got the date wrong. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Is there anybody else for public comment? No. Move to item B. Items on the agenda. The Board of Aldermen welcomes comments for citizens on issues and items of concern on the agenda. Those wishing to speak must sign in before the meeting begins and observe a 5-minute time limit when addressing the board. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak per agenda item during this time. Public comments on agenda items will only be received during this portion of the meeting. No discussion or final action will be taken by the Board of Aldermen during the public comment period of the meeting. Is there anybody that wants to speak on any of the agenda items?
Linda Reynolds, 1110 Mill Creek Drive. I just had a question from about the wastewater agreement. There was something on it that I'd never heard of before. But it could be that I know nothing about wastewater treatment plants or business at this point in time. You have on the contract an amount for regular time rate, 59 and 49 cents per hour, which is a great hourly rate. And then you have an operator overtime rate of $89.77 per hour, which excellent for the wastewater treatment people. And then they have something called double overtime rate. I've never heard. If you're overtime, it's like double A's for your essay, or I just have never heard of that. But maybe that's part of a normal wastewater deal, and I've gone into the wrong business, obviously. Thank you.
Did you want to speak on that?
I don't actually have any information on that. I'd be happy to follow up with Ms. Reynolds, but we do have the folks from Jacobs that'll be here to speak on the contract for that item.
All right. Is there anybody else for public comments on the agenda item? No, just state your name and.
Double overtime rate in the city of Austin is for people that are off and then they have to come in like on Christmas, Easter, something like that. That's where double overtime comes in.
Okay, thank you.
I just thought let me clarify, that's in the city of Austin. I don't know what your contract reads, but that's probably what they're talking about.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Comments on agenda items? Nope. All right, we're moving on to the workshop. 2A, discussion on the TxDOT Special Project GCAA Salado Bridge Light Project. You take a minute?
So, Mayor Pro Tem and Alderman, can you hear me?
Barely.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
All righty. Mayor Pro Tem and Alderman, staff is presenting the final concept design for the TxDOT special project for under the I-35 bridge at Salado Plaza and Williams Road. The initial concepts were presented to you back in October. I know that's been a while. With board feedback at that time, the request was to remove the wagon wheel, which we have definitely removed that, as you can see in the concept plans in front of you. I know that there was consideration for an S or a star on the Texas shape. Due to the updated TxDOT criteria, the S is no longer permitted as it is part of our branding / logo. So I just wanted to inform you. So that's why you're not seeing an S, but the star remains acceptable. There will be 4 stars on both sides of the columns, and then of course the Texas shape as reflected in that concept design that you have. Staff recommends approval of this final design to ensure that the project proceeds and lighting is installed by TxDOT. For those that are not familiar, and I know this has been a long time coming, the $90,000 GCAA grant was awarded by TxDOT, and of course this is a testament to the dedication and hard work of Ms. Kathy Sands and other volunteers. I apologize for not recognizing all the names, as this project was awarded way before my time here at the village. On this particular matter, I have no additional comments. I'll be happy to try to address any questions that you may have.
You got anything, Alan?
What color will it be illuminated?
So it is my understanding that we are allowed to have that light switch. If you wanted different lights, you could. I was not for that. I am for one light, one color. But again, at the end of the day, that is something that you would be allowed to say, hey, I know we have multi-colors that we can use, but we want to always maintain white. We want to always maintain blue as part of our branding. That would be per your direction.
Mayor Pro Tem, may I ask Mr. Sands to come up?
Sure. Yes, you will.
Matthew Sands, 3901 Chisholm Trail.
Thank you for coming up.
You bet.
Do you have, since I know that you've been working on this, it seems like according to the report we got and the ones
Yes.
we've gotten prior longer than anyone else, I think you're probably the one that really headed this up to begin with, if I'm not mistaken. So do you think that how should this thing be illuminated?
Well-
We're gonna have to give that direction to a sign maker, I think, at some point.
Yeah, Keep Salado Beautiful. We were awarded two $90,000 grants. We got the railing on the bridge at Thomas Arnold. Then we got another $90,000 grant. They're very particular about what's done. TxDOT is. And so this is what they came up with. And I think probably, like Gina, I think the two colors would be better than all different multicolors. And the Texas concept is really nice, I think.
Oh, I don't have any data telling me what those colors are. That's my question.
Yeah.
We don't know what those colors are?
They said it was multicolors would be our choice. And so I'm assuming that there's some kind of remote that we can actually click for whichever color that we would like for it to designate and show.
Oh,
If we want to do like seasons, we could do red probably in different colors, but I don't know if we want to do that.
so it's your understanding that the signs will likely be backlit in multi-colors?
That we have the option to turn it to multicolors, yes.
We change the colors.
If it weren't a multicolor, what color would it be? Is it warm white, for example?
They did not say.
Who's they?
TxDOT.
TxDOT.
Oh, they dictate what color our lights are going to be under our bridge, under their bridge, rather?
So they did not inform me if it would be a warm white or if it would be, you
Okay,
know, a
I don't want to
sky
get
blue.
stuck on it.
Yeah.
It was the only thing I didn't see. I
It's
think the
whatever y'all
design-
think, you know, I don't know how hard it would be to change those and who would change those is the only question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
But Alderman, if I may, I'm happy to go back to TxDOT and ask that question and then inform it.
Well, I don't want to get hung up on it. I mean, if they're going to give us, I guess TxDOT's not going to build the lights. They're just driving the train on what they will or will not allow us to put on their bridge. Is that correct?
Well, that is
As far as
correct,
design?
along with their special team is designing this for us, so there are stipulations, yes, sir.
So we just need to approve the general Texas design with the star, and then at some other point in time, we can manage what color the lighting is going to be on it?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have anything. Okay.
Two questions. One, there's no cost to the village on this, correct?
Correct.
Financial cost. Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Sands, and your team, whoever that might have been to do it. Please pass that along. And my last comment was I will agree with Alderman Sandor. I mean, we'll have a choice to pick a light color and talk about that at a later date when it's up. So we'll make a decision on color once we can see the options up there.
I know a little
bit
about commercial signs, and I'm a little bit bewildered that we're not having to make that decision now, because once the sign's made, it's probably going to be affixed with some kind of lighting and do that. Unless the only option is that it's going to be multicolor and it's somehow or another controlled by us, whether it's red, blue, green, yellow, warm white.
And that is my understanding.
Okay.
But I will verify that.
Yeah, and if it can just be changed manually, then there's no need to bring it back and discuss it. We'll just get a directive and somebody can do that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, great, thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to hijack your.
No, thank you. The other question I had was installation completion. When is the estimate of that coming about?
So they said they would inform me once this concept has been accepted, so
Okay.
that way we would have an understanding where we're at in the queue.
Okay, so you can report that later on an estimated completion date.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your work, Dean. No
Absolutely.
further questions.
No, I just was making the assumption that it was going, when they said multicolored, that you could control it. So like St. Patty's Day, we can make it green. Would that be us controlling that, or is TechStop controlling like holiday colors? Like Christmas could be red and all that, but
And
would
I'm
they
sure-
turn that over to us? Because it's probably an app
Yes.
on the phone that you just, because that's where technology is today. So, but that's my only question is, if it was multicolor, would we be in control of it, or is TechStop control of it? So
Again, I will verify. I'm sure that we are going to be. They don't have the time.
I didn't think so, but I figured I'd ask. All right.
Absolutely.
No other questions, and thank you for driving. I think it'll be a nice enhancement, and it's been a while since we've had this discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, I have no other questions other than thanks, Gina, and thanks, Ms. Stantz, for what you did for it. And I like the Texas. I like the S, but this is all, we've talked about that before. All right. 2B, discussion on amending the ordinance 2023-19 regulation on construction, heavy vehicles, and large commercial vehicles.
So Gina will touch base on this, and correct me if I'm wrong clearly, but this ordinance was approved last year, or in 2023. What it was missing was the actual truck route map. We have had the route provided. You should have a large map, and the action item later tonight for this ordinance will be to add that map so that there is a clear route that trucks can follow when the ordinance is referenced. And I'll hand it off to Gina to clarify anything.
So I am just going to kind of follow up on a few little notes on that. The ordinance was 2023-19, which regulates the construction of heavy vehicles, large commercial vehicles, and during the enforcement review, it was determined that the adopted ordinance did not include the finalized map, which was Exhibit A. And that clearly states in the ordinance to view the route on Exhibit A. Well, Exhibit A was not filed, it was missing. So therefore, staff went back and reviewed the minutes in July of 2023, and we captured all the roads that were mentioned at that time, and we coordinated with Chief Fields to confirm the designated streets, and then we worked together on the map. Chief really took the lead on that, so he's happy to answer any questions as well. I know I'm not throwing him under the bus. We did talk about this prior to. A few things I do want to indicate on the large map that you have. Of course, green indicates the approved route that you're seeing, and then the purple indicates the restricted routes for these vehicles. The map will be presented for the formal correction, at the next regular BOA meeting, which is here just right after this meeting. And upon approval, we plan to distribute this map to any developers, stakeholders, to support the consistent enforcement and communication. Public Works and PD will also confirm that all the proper signage is posted properly along the route. So that is the plan that staff has at this time. And I have no other comments unless you have questions for myself or Chief Fields.
Alan, go ahead.
So on, who's responsible for the general provisions and the definitions? Is that a former board that arrived at this?
That would be correct, sir.
Okay. I guess, I don't mean to be complicated, but under general provisions and definitions, number 1, construction vehicle means vehicles with or without trailers exceeding a total gross weight of 10,000 pounds. That's going to be challenging because, like, the truck I drive is over 8,000 pounds. And so I'm not talking even about construction. I'm just trying to be realistic here if we're going to start writing tickets for stuff. And I want to protect the roads. I don't like dump trucks on very specific roads and things, mostly kind of how it's outlined here. I could go even further than that, but I won't. But if you have, and you see this every day in Salado, if you see at least a 3/4 ton diesel truck pulling a 20-foot trailer, that already is really close probably to 10,000 pounds. When you put 2 or 3 or 4 commercial mowers on it, we're now going to be in excess, and that has nothing to do with construction. That's just people paying people to maintain their yards, which a lot of us do in Salado. So we're gonna have to maybe consider that one somehow. Again, I don't really want to be stuck on this tonight because we have such a long agenda, but the simple math says that I don't know how commercial mowing outfits are going to get into some of these houses and businesses to mow without getting a ticket. I guess I'm just making a point.
Well, I think what their intent was, with the wording of construction vehicle, those would be excluded. Like your 3/4 ton pickup with your 4 mowers, 5 mowers, it says construction vehicle. I think that was their intent. The intent, I don't think, was your lawn service guys or.
That's fair.
I mean, that's the way I take it as. Is that?
Chief, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I was gonna.
I am. Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Alderman? Absolutely. It was my understanding that their original intention was because we had cement trucks and dump trucks and people delivering 30,000 pounds of shingles that were tearing up the roadways. That was the original intent of it. Are we going to stop a Ford F-250 that's coming in to do lawn care? No.
Okay.
Now, if you have a construction project that falls within one of those areas, then we will have to have a conversation. You'll have to come and be permitted and make sure that we can get your vehicle safely in and safely out without tearing things up.
Okay.
But as far as that, no, we're not looking at
okay.
We're looking at construction type vehicles.
Perfect. Good enough for me. And then I think the only other question I have, thank you for that, Mayor Pro Tem and Chief. That makes perfect sense. Chief, sorry, y'all talked about the signs. I'll beat Alderman Laster to it because he's going to ask who's paying for that. So I also want to know what, do we know yet? Like, if we're going to introduce new signs, I'm assuming that's going to come at some kind of expense. Maybe we haven't made it that far and that's okay, but at some point we'll need to let the taxpayers know kind of what we're doing with that,
So,
I think.
if I may, and Chief and I can follow up with me on this, there are currently signs already on
Yes.
these routes throughout the village.
I thought you mentioned adding more signs.
Well, we're going to have to update those signs
Okay.
because currently those signs have the wrong ordinance number listed on it.
Okay.
So this is where everything started to evolve and we started to look at the ordinance, and that's when I noticed Exhibit A was missing. So we're just trying to get clarity and get this cleaned up, and
Okay.
then we should be able to get stickers that go over the existing ordinance number and get that replaced at a very minimal cost.
Okay, so it's kind of a moot point. All right,
So-
that's it. Thank you.
And I apologize, I probably should have made that clear.
No,
so.
no apology needed. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Jim, you got anything?
Thank you. Uh-oh. Chief, come grab a seat with us.
Yes, sir.
So how are you going to enforce this?
Meaning, if we observe a dump truck operating on Royal or one of the other roadways, then we conduct a traffic stop and issue a citation. That's actually how this came about. One of my officers conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle, issued a citation, only to find out that the ordinance number that's written on the sign is different than the ordinance number. So it's hard to enforce that when it's got the wrong sign on it. Are we enforcing it? Yes. Do we plan on enforcing it? Yes.
Have you actually written tickets on it in the past?
Yes, sir, we have.
Okay, good. And stay there, don't leave. I know you want to leave, please. But back to you, Gina. Do we do have, as you're saying, we need to correct the ordinance number, but do we have all the signs up that are necessary on the noted drives or streets that we want to designate?
I know that there's signs out there. Do we have them all up? I do not have that assessment as of yet. I wanted to get this cleaned up, and then that way I'll have Public Works go out and take an inventory of what's there.
Okay.
And if we're missing any, because sometimes they just fall down, sometimes people take them down, various things, so.
But most of them are up, subject
They
to
are.
being changed. And if we're gonna go to the new ordinance and deal with this, Ellen, are you okay? Because you are in construction on the 10,000,
I am now. I just
Okay.
was worried about not only people that, I don't,
okay.
my mower doesn't do that, that's doing a lot.
Okay. So you do plan on enforcing it?
Yes, sir.
And will you give us an official day that starts, when it's posted and the signs are up and we're really legally in position to enforce that and write citations? Now, right now, if you did, it wouldn't work.
Right now, we're not actually issuing citations based on that. We are still
Just
making
warning.
we are still making traffic stops and doing warnings.
Okay.
When this first came about, we wanted to make sure that when the money is spent on oil, it's not wasted. We've got a lot of trucks coming through there. Granted, Main Street is technically FM 2268 spur. That is a state roadway. We've got a lot of vehicles that get routed through there. We have a lot of dump trucks and we have a lot of cement trucks who get routed through there to make the right-hand turn on Royal and to go up Royal to get to Drake's Landing. So what we were doing initially was initiating a traffic stop, letting the individual know, hey, the actual truck route, you need to go up 2268 to, I believe it's Blackberry over to Royal back down to Drake's Landing.
Okay.
That's going to be a lot better, a lot easier, a lot safer than to tear up the roadways right through downtown. So, and then we've been telling them, hey man, just do me a favor, get on your CB, talk to your buddies that are out here delivering as well, let them know to take this alternate route. And it seemed to work for a little bit. And then they started coming back down through Royal Street again. And I spoke with Lieutenant Dungy and we decided that it's time to take a further step into this enforcement action. So now that we've taken that step, then we learn our signs are wrong. We need to get this fixed so that we can take effective enforcement action in the future.
Well, I mean, we are talking about our roads and the condition they're in, and I do think this is an important issue, and I do get frequent feedback from people about big trucks on the road, and I think we all see them that are active here on a regular basis. So I am hopeful for enforcement. I know warnings are fine right now, but I hope we can do a good job of enforcing that in the future, and it's properly noticed on the roads, and we can do a good job on it, because it's going to do nothing but help us long term on our roads, and we're going to be facing some significant repairs and expenses in the future. So it's an important issue. So absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm through. Thank you.
I'm not walking away from it.
Gina, would it be possible to put a note on new construction permit applications for the builders? That way, we're just kind of covering our basis, and when they start issuing these citations, no one can say, well, we didn't, how would we know? And I know we'll be able to say, well, we have an ordinance, it's your responsibility, but I think it might be good due diligence if we could just add one sentence and highlight it or something for a while, right? Just so that way we're being friendly and people aren't just thinking that, I don't need anybody on social media next saying that we're trying to raise money by him pulling, you know what I mean? That's, or whatever ridiculousness might come out of that. So.
Absolutely, okay. Alderman, and we have every intention of drafting a letter, and we'll get that to everyone who's actually registered to construct in the village. Okay. It's going to be impactful to those that are working in the ETJ, that we don't always have a list of who's building out there, right? And may still use our roads, but we will do our best to try to get this information out.
Okay, and then thank y'all both for getting in front of this before we rebuild Royal Street. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, the only thing I'd ask is, what if there's a homeowner there that wants to put in a swimming pool, or they want to add an extension onto their house? I'm assuming they go through a permit. Is there
Absolutely, and we did discuss that. So once they go through that permit process, the permit department will also inform them, and we will inform PD. So that way there's cross communication and there's no issues.
But I'm saying they're in the purple area where,
Correct.
okay, so is there
Correct.
a distinction there that they would know? Okay.
We will make sure that they're able to get in without any issues, but also not tearing up our roads. So Chief said that he'll work with us on that in addition to.
No, seems pretty solid. Thank you, guys.
I'm good, Chief. Thank you. Positive. All right, moving on to 2C, discussion of 2026, Consumer Price Index adjustment to municipal telecommunications right-of-way access line rates.
Okay, I am no expert on this. I've tried to get up to speed. This is an annual item that should be brought before the board for consideration of the default rates and the rates for increase for the Consumer Price Index issued by the Public Utilities Commission. These are for the fees that feed our franchise lines. If we don't take any action on this letter that was provided by the end of April, those fees automatically go into effect. If we say we don't want those fees to go up by the amount proposed, we can also notify them and the fees will stay the same. Right now, the residential fee is $1.72. It would go up to $1.73. Non-residential is $5.83. We go to $5.98. And I can't even read my copy of what the other the point-to-point fees are. These fees, unfortunately, are typically passed down to the consumer in the end, so that the utility company is not absorbing all of this impact. So that's just something to take into account. I know a couple years back, the village did decline the fees, but if we don't act, the fees go into effect at the end of April. By the end of April, the fees will go into effect next year. If we do act to decline, then the fees won't go into effect, and next year the PUC would send out another letter with a different fee structure.
Colin, you got anything? Yeah.
I'd like to be educated on it, but I know you're, and neither am I on this. I don't understand. They say you want a 1% increase, and it's not much of anything. But if you say no, I want the same rate, and then what happens? If you say no, I won't agree to the 1% increase. I want it the same as last year. What happens when you do that?
It stays the same. It just stays the same, and we receive the same amount of funding for our franchise fees.
Why would we want it to even go up 1%?
For inflationary purposes. I mean, everything costs money, and the utilities that rent our right-of-way to provide services are required to provide us a franchise fee. The services associated that the village provides, unfortunately, they're not free. We all experience rate increases. We experience it through the trash service, through public safety, all of those things. And this is one way that cities can, I guess, be compensated minimally for the impact on the right-of-way specifically from utility providers.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I don't. So you're saying we basically did not raise it last year?
I don't. In looking in the records, it was last year or the year before it wasn't raised, and then there was a more significant raise the following.
Okay.
At the following time.
Nope, I don't have any other questions.
All right, moving on to 2D, discussion on amending number 6 wastewater agreements. Nelson.
Okay, we do have the folks from Jacobs who provide our wastewater servicing contract with us here to speak to the contract that was originally entered into between the village and Jacobs, as well as the proposed amendment that they submitted to City Hall at our last, I believe, even prior to our last meeting, probably. The amendment, I think the due date for that is April sometime. I could be wrong. But as I mentioned in an email when I sent all this information out, this year, the increase to the wastewater service contract is approximately 84%. So it is a significant increase, and they, Andriana and I forgot your name.
Grace.
Are here Grace are here to speak to a little bit of the history and the previous amendments and where we are now and the reason for the 84% increase or proposed increase.
Yes, so thank you. My name is Andrina Alexander. I'm the project manager over the wastewater system for the Village of Salado. This is Grace Germond. She's the assistant project manager. I want to provide some history. We understand that it is a significant increase. So the original contract was signed April 1st, 2019. It's about 7 years ago, and it was a brand new system. In the original contract, it only included Church Street and Royal Street lift stations and the new wastewater plant, which was, again, brand new construction. No significant repairs, no major oversight. We only had a part-time employee logged into that agreement just because it didn't require that much oversight at the time. Every year we do amendments. That price was locked for 3 years. 3 years later, we did an amendment for inflation similar to the CPI, ECI that y'all were just talking about another item, and it increased about 4 to 5%. Following year, about another 4 to 5% to cover repair costs, and as the system started to age. Amendment 1 added Stagecoach lift station under our scope to maintain and operate. Amendment 2 added Drake's Landing lift station, so now there's a total of 4 that we oversee. Drake's Landing is new. Stagecoach is very old. It's an older lift station that we oversee. And then over the period of the past 7 years, we've increased the employees from a part-time to now we're proposing 2 employees for safety. The biggest reason for the increase is not the employees specifically, it's odor control that we have implemented per the village's request in the past year for the lift stations, specifically at Church and Royal being in the center of town, and I think we all know where it is. So there's odor control system that's implemented there that adds a diffuser, that's an aeration system that was rehabbed about this time last year that adds continuous chemical feeds into the well that reduces the odor and fats, oil, greases that enter the system significantly that attribute to the odor at both of the lift stations. We keep the lift station wet well level very low, so it's a deep well, it's about 23 feet, so maintain it very low. And these odor control chemicals help significantly with odors, although realistically it doesn't remove them 100% because it is what it is, but we reduce it significantly. With these. This was not part of the original scope. Odor control system with this chemical addition was not in the original agreement. We covered the fees for the past year with the chemical costs that we purchase about every quarter, just as needed. If we have to add chemicals to, if there's odor complaints that we receive notification of, whether that's at Church Royal or otherwise, we'll increase the feed, make adjustments, dial it in, do what we need to do. And that may mean we need to purchase more chemicals for that system. So it kind of depends. Right now, the chemicals cost, as the contract reads, is a responsibility of Jacob. So chemical costs in the past was just chlorine gas for disinfection at the treatment facility. So that was covered by us and is still covered by us, but now the additional chemicals with the odor control system is taken into account with that. So the fee was adjusted and understandably significantly just because that was not included in the scope. Some other items that we've been taking care of the collection system just in general, which is also aging. And I do want to touch on the comment earlier made on the operator overtime. That was a perfect explanation. I will clarify that the section that you were reading is not our true rates. That's more if needed for repairs specifically. And that's the highest rate it would go in that case, meaning that's not necessarily what we're paying them. But if we brought in a master of that specific field, technical specialist, operations, maintenance specialist, or God forbid a catastrophe and we need extra hands, that would be the rate billed in addition to the base fee. We haven't needed anything like that in the recent past. So that's a kind of a separate item I just wanted to touch on. But the odor control system is ultimately the reason for the significant increase. We are entering the last year of the contract, so April 1, we're actually a little past that start date for the new term, but it's okay. We're not in a rush. We want to keep on to y'all's schedule. This is open to negotiation. I want to make that clear. This is not a hard and fast number, but open to negotiation, of course, within reason. There's other options we can explore to how that is billed or how we do the order control, this, that, the other, but again, open to negotiation, yes. I hope that answers some questions.
Excuse me. Alan, you got something?
Okay, so, how do we pay for this service now?
Through our wastewater revenue.
So how much do we pay and how often?
I don't know that exact, I know we have a budgeted.
You know?
197,000, I believe. Is what
Annually? 200K a year?
Plus repairs as incurred.
And part of this ask is to increase what we're paying annually to them
Yes.
for their service? And what is that amount?
So it would go from 195,239, which is being the current agreement, to 353,881.
And that's the part that's negotiable?
Yes.
Do you know if the lift station, particularly on Royal Street, just as one example, would it be possible to introduce sort of like an exhaust stack to where the smell releases at a higher elevation?
Yes.
Do you have any cost data on that, or even loose?
I can look into it. I have it at other utilities use that, yes. And it's actually treated a little differently. I will say though, the initial cost to get that installed may be significant upfront, but I can propose, yes, how much that would be.
Are you willing to say broadly what you would define significant?
Well, the chemical addition for, I don't know, it depends on the size, and then how much you would want to look at. It would be above the fence line usually. There's small ones, there are large ones.
I think it would need to be taller than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may have passed them in other neighboring towns. They're white towers usually, and you can see where it comes out the top. It really just depends on the manufacturer and how large it is. I will say though that the initial cost up front offsets the long-term cost, and it works.
I'd like to see all of those costs.
Okay.
Please. So I don't know who you're going to send that to, but if y'all could make sure, I'm just guessing the board can want to see that.
Yeah, we can definitely pull that up.
And if there are multiple options on elevation, please include that also, because I don't think just above the fence line is necessarily what we're after, just because it's obviously that's our highest pedestrian traffic area. Yeah. So as high as we could go within reason to try to, and obviously we'll be looking for any kind of science or metrics that you have that support why. I know when the wind blows, it could knock it down, but aside from that, I think we're considering a still day. How would that work?
Well, in general, the way it works is it's all enclosed, and the ones I've seen at other places, it's a lot of it's biological, without getting into it, systems internally. So it's usually connected to a small blower that sucks it up into this unit, and it blows out not fresh air, but non-odorous. So you don't smell it at all.
That's interesting. Okay. And how soon do we have to figure out how we're going to continue our agreement with them?
You know, this was due around April 1. They're open to us continuing the conversation. I'm happy to have them come back, you know, at the next workshop and even a following workshop until we have some type of agreement arranged. And to provide all the additional information to y'all. The thing is, once it has been negotiated, it will be retroactive back to April 1, whatever amount there is.
Okay. Well, thank you for being willing to work with us. If you've been paying attention at all, we may or may not have our hands very full. Except for when it comes to finances, we don't have our hands very full there. But we will definitely work really hard on this and try to expedite this because it's important for everyone. And so thank you for being patient.
Yes.
I think this ties into this, so I'm going to ask it to Ryan and Gina. Did we ever figure out if we have an ordinance in place for fatty oils and grease, specifically grease interceptors at commercial facilities that take food from a raw state through to a cooked product, or if there's any frying or anything like that? I was told at one point in time by the former village administrator that we do not have that. Do you know?
I do not know, nor am I familiar with one.
I don't. You believe that we do not have an ordinance in place for commercial facilities?
I don't think so.
It's usually considered a pre-treatment program, and I don't believe you have one. No.
Yeah, I don't either. I think that's a problem. So we will be visiting that.
And we can help with that too, if you'd like.
Last question. If you're willing. If we had an ordinance in place for commercial restaurants, for sake of conversation, even though it could go deeper than just a restaurant, if they were required to have grease interceptors, do you think that that would help mitigate the issues that we're constantly having at our lift stations?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt,
I thought
yes.
the answer might be yes. I don't know why I thought that, but thank you. Any other questions?
Jim, you got any questions?
Yeah, I have a lot of them, but I'm not really prepared now to how we started to address it.
I mean, we'll have another workshop.
Yeah, this whole issue
Anyway.
not only goes into the age of our system, these costs, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that our budget for this year, the major of this year, is typically anything like this. So we're exposed to significant costs, particularly if it's going to come back retroactive to April.
But not necessarily at this amount. There's a lot of things we can do that we can discuss.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe a stair stepping back to what you're talking about, so that it's just doesn't put
Okay.
a real short term.
Yeah.
But this system, obviously, you had 3 lift stations since the beginning.
From the beginning, we only had 2, Church and Royal, the newest ones. We added 2, Stagecoach and Drake's. Yeah. Drake's Landing.
I'm aware that there's frequent complaints from
Royal.
on a regular basis. Are we reasonably prudent in terms of our addressing those complaints?
So, any complaints that y'all have gotten has been passed on to us as needed. We've gone out there with odor monitoring devices that physically test the gaseous concentrations in the air. For example, hydrogen sulfide being the most prominent in wastewater. Those devices don't pick up, unless you're right on top of it, the manhole or inside the unit, which no one's allowed in there except the village and us. So quantifiable numbers, so it's all just perception. I know it's not in the best location, obviously, and I may not smell it because I've been in the business for a long time, but then you can smell something, for example, so it's just all kind of hearsay, but we address it and we'll go out and check to be sure there's not like a pump didn't fail or anything, and we'll check the SCADA system, which is our online monitoring system, be sure that nothing has happened, and we check the complaints, but I mean, other than that, and then adjusting the chemical feed.
The chemical feed, that's our expenses.
Yes.
And that is a cost issue that may be mitigated by the exhaust
Correct, yeah, there's a bunch of different technologies that could be implemented. Correct. So other odor control systems may not use as much chemicals, so you might, like I mentioned, have an upfront cost to build this unit, stack unit, and then that's it. Then it's just us maintaining it with the personnel we have. Usually it does take some nutrient or chemical addition, but it may be significantly less. This system is just a cheaper, quicker option that we've done in the meantime because you can just get a drum of chemicals and add it. So that's something that was offered, but there are different options, yes.
Well, there is certainly more development coming on Royal Street.
So even more of a reason, yeah.
More development coming to that. Is it going to be more problematic for frequency?
It would eventually, yeah.
So when we look at solutions to that odor, particularly in a highly sensitive area for tourism and those kind of things, I don't know where that takes us in terms of cost, but options to look at. It looks like
Right.
what all of these things are. Look at the options because we spend $3 million plus $4 million on Royal Street, and we want those revenues, we want a tourist district, those kind of things. We have to do a good job.
Right.
It may be impossible to make it perfect. I think as we look at this, we know we're moving forward on the project. So a year from now, a year and a half from now, there may be some other development coming online, but I just want to understand, we need to be thinking about matching our improvements to the future of the forest, instead of putting not necessarily
Agreed.
look at that. And very where another we have to pay for it. I certainly don't want to see the system right there in the middle of the highway.
All right, thanks. You got anything new? A couple things. When obviously, we're not going to solve this here tonight, all of it, but the next time we get together, some more data analytics would be great. In particular, by lift station, I like the idea of getting the stack and knowing that, but which one is costing us the most? I think all of us have an idea what that is, but we may be wrong. So from a chemical perspective, and then a breakdown of the cost, if you have that by lift station, of what the estimated cost per lift station was for last year, just so we can figure out how we prioritize and which ones we may attack. So I just want the next meeting to be productive. In regards, I'm pretty familiar with restaurants. So the health department requires you to have a grease trap, but for sure, so that you won't get but making sure it's adhered to is another. So those are pumped out on a regular basis, or otherwise you have a big mess at your restaurant. So I'm very familiar with the health department that is a requirement. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be looking into more details on that, but it should absolutely be a requirement for any restaurant permit. So that's what I'm saying. I don't have anything else.
All right. The only thing, what is the average cost for when you come out to the Royal Street pump station for the odor control?
At the top of my head, I don't.
Yeah.
So how much is a drum, for example? $3,000. And that's 3,000 to 4,000 for a 55-gallon drum of nutrients for one lift station a quarter, and that's being generous.
And that's not including your pay, the manpower. That's just
right, or shipping, or freight, or if we need to feed more. It's just a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay. Can you add that into?
Yeah, I can have it broken down.
Okay, yeah, but I mean that's kind of where I was going with the lift station, making sure we have. When I said the data analytics, really breaking that down, because really gonna help us determine what investments and what lift station we go first, second, or third.
And if I may, just to be transparent, the reason, again, it's the odor control, but it's marked up significantly just because there's a lot of risk on our end not knowing what the future holds. So if we get a complaint and we have to increase the chemicals, we have it budgeted internally where we may purchase it double than just once per quarter. Just, looking
Well,
worst
that's
case
why I
scenario.
was wondering, one of
Yeah.
the things we could talk about the next meeting is a
Right.
pass-through. The pass-through on the
Exactly,
chemicals.
yes.
So
So
that's,
repairs, the way it's built now, is as it's incurred separate. Chemicals can be done the same. Yes.
yeah, because you're hedging on us and we're taking, you're not taking that risk is what I'm hearing. So you're hedging, or at least you may have
Because
taken a hit, but you're now looking at your analytics to say, I just want you to be transparent with us with those analytics.
100%, yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Before we move on, if I may, Mayor Pro Tem, I just asked if we do this workshop, it might take some time to get through, so I recommend with the other aldermen that we just designate a specific workshop for that and not be burdened with other issues that we take in at that time. That may take a while.
Oh, yeah. No,
I may ask for that.
All right, then E, discussion on amending the SITCOG agreement. Mr. Nelson.
All right, what you have in your packet is the amended interlocal agreement with the COG. I don't believe this will be on an actual agenda for action until the next meeting. But all this does, this is to extend the ILA through June 30th. I don't anticipate that a new village administrator will be here before the elections, and I would recommend for certain waiting until after the elections to appoint a new administrator. So that'll take all the way at least probably through May, and then I could phase out, or I could just go away altogether, and however the village would like it. But this extends the ILA through June 2026 with the same compensation, not to exceed the previous administrator's salary over the covered time period. The additional thing in the scope of work, we added the clause that will provide the village administrator recruitment for the Village of Salado for costs incurred with the development of recruitment materials, posting of the position, review of applicants, and assisting with the interview. So it's just the direct costs associated with those activities for assisting with the village administrator recruitment.
Yes. Do you have anything?
Yeah, so on the last page, page 7, scope of work attachment A, Village of Salado ILA, Village Administrator Project. I've read this so many times today, and again, just before and during this meeting so far, but number 5, I'm a little bit tired tonight. Am I reading that correctly? It says the estimated cost of the initial 90-day period will not exceed 3 times the current monthly compensation of the village administrator?
All right, 3 months. Because it's 90 days, that's three months.
Okay, so it's not changed.
No,
am I reading that wrong?
It should, the word time should be months. I think it's a good catch.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
It's a good catch. Because it's 3, you're saying 3
Not
times the 90
Financial
day.
position between the village and SITCOG has not changed. We're just extending a time.
Correct.
With all other things the same.
Correct.
Knowing that we have all these tasks that y'all have been said, nothing's really changing other than extending the time.
Extending the time, and then, of course, the compensation.
Of course.
Accordingly.
Yes.
As long as it goes.
Agreed. Okay, thank you very much. That's all I got, Mayor.
All right, good. You got anything, Jim?
So for the record, you are staying with us through May, is that correct?
June 30th.
June.
I plan to be here at least through May,
Uh-huh.
and then possibly into June, if there is.
Or phasing out
Correct.
at that point.
Correct.
Okay. And this has no real effect on that other than just approving that time frame.
Correct.
Okay. And do we talk at this point a little bit about a request going out for a new city administrator, or,
No.
or do we hold off on that?
We'll hold off on that.
Okay, thank you.
No, clear. Thank you.
All right. Then, I just have one thing. Something in there.
That's a carryover from the original.
Oh, the original. Yeah, I got it. All right, then we got discussion interlocal agreement with Bell County.
All right, I do not see Commissioner Whitson here. I know he said he had a conflict tonight. This interlocal agreement before you was submitted back in last August, November timeframe. This agreement is something that the county sent to all jurisdictions regarding plating in the ETJ. State law requires that jurisdictions and the county have an agreement determining who does the plating in the ETJ for municipalities. Bell County has asked us whether we would like to control the plating in the ETJ or if we would like Bell County to do that. If we continue to do the plating in our ETJ ourselves, the county will not maintain the roadways once they are done. If the county takes over the plating, that way they provide direct oversight through that process. Once they're done, it allows the county to take care of the roads in that area with the ETJ. When I talked to Commissioner Whitson today, he didn't say, well, if the village does this, where there's no way we're ever going to take care of those roads in the ETJ. He said a developer could come in and enter into some type of agreement with the county at some point to take over those roads if they were up to code. Sitting here, I would recommend that the village allow the county to provide the plating services in the ETJ. It'll reduce some of our capacity concerns right now. It lightens the load on us, and we really don't get a benefit from providing those services in the ETJ at this point in time. And then if somebody does want to plat with the village, then it would necessitate them actually formally annexing voluntarily into the village.
So, I want to recap that. So there's two options the way I understand it. I also spoke in depth with Commissioner Whitson for over an hour about this today. Two options. Generically, someone has to be the plating authority, either the village or the county, for subdivisions in the ETJ. There are some pros and cons. I really only have one question. My question is, whatever decision we make, how soon are we allowed to change it should it not be favorable for any reason in the future? Is that something, do we know if this is something that happens annually, or?
I did not ask that.
I didn't either, I forgot.
I don't remember.
I also want to go on record and say that I agree with the interim village administrator's recommendation, based on what I learned today, that the county most likely should be the plating authority for subdivisions in our ETJ to ensure that they give directives to developers on how they want their road designed and built, and then that will position them to be responsible from the county level to maintain those roads as soon as the developer gets past their bond.
This will be on not tonight's meeting agenda.
Okay.
This is on the for action at the next meeting, so
Perfect.
we can follow up. We can have those conversations.
That's going to be my only
Come
question.
back and make an informed decision at the next meeting.
Yeah, but without knowing the answer to that question, whatever it's worth, I agree with the interim village administrator's recommendation. That's all I got.
He covered a thought that I had to ask, but that's fine. No further questions.
No other further questions at this time, so I'll give us time to do some homework, so appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. No, I totally agree. I think it should be the county. Take a burden off of them. G, discussion on the fireworks event for the 4th of July.
So this is going to be a Gina Pence special. She's going to speak through this, but Gina has been coordinating with the school district, the police department, and other partners on this event since we received the request from somebody to have a fireworks show here. So I'll hand it up to Gina.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem and Alderman, staff is presenting for your consideration a request to host a community 4th of July fireworks event. While fireworks are currently prohibited within the village, this proposal outlines a permitted coordinated event involving the village, event organizers, local emergency services, which is the ESD number 1, and of course our police department to ensure public safety. Chief Ronce and Chief Fields have provided comment letters in your packet in regards to this proposed event. And we also included our community partners, Salado ISD, because we do want to make sure that we're involving all parties in case there is a suitable venue that can be used, because that is the one item that we will all have to work collaborative on, is finding the suitable space that is safe and can allow everybody to enjoy the event if this proposed event is approved. The event is proposed at no cost to the village, with all expenses being covered through sponsorship and fundraising by the organizers. The event representatives are here tonight to represent their proposed plan and, of course, include any other details that they may have and answer any questions. It is being presented to you early for consideration because we want to make sure that we're allowing them time for the planning process and, of course, fundraising efforts. And I do know that the party is here unless you have any other questions for me at this time.
Can we put any hot tags towards this?
I am not sure. That is something that we would have to look at. At this point, it's been presented that they are covering all costs, except for whatever village staff time they have.
Okay. Jeff, anything? Or we can bring them up. Again, questions for them?
Yes, if there's someone here, please come up. Gina, who is they in that context?
So I am not sure who all is here tonight.
No. I meant to Alderman Gunter's question about expenses. I think that's a fantastic question. Thank you for being willing to maybe look into that. But I think you added that you said they are, you think they are covering those expenses.
That's what has been presented, that they're going to do all the fundraising.
Wanting to come to Salado and do a 4th of July fireworks show with no cost to the village?
No cost. We want to cover it. So I'm JC Humphrey. I'm a mom, and me and my business partner, Elizabeth, she's a mom as well. On the 4th of July, I'm tired of leaving Salado and driving to Temple, of the risk of being on the roads with drivers who are under the influence for a fireworks show. So this past 4th of July, I went down to Pearland, and in their small community, they do in the evening a golf cart parade for 4th of July. They do a fireworks show, and they do it small town. And it got me thinking, why can't we do something like that in Salado? To where we keep the revenue here, our people here, and bring it as a family function. I know our city's not prepared to do that, and that's why me and my business partner, we've already contacted G&J Fireworks. They put on the same fireworks show, if you've ever seen it, over Belton Lake. That lady is selling her home, so they're no longer doing that show. So I don't want to compete with Belton where they do their parade in the morning. I want to put us where we're in the evening to where everyone comes this way instead of going that way. Gerald doesn't have a fireworks show. Holland, Little River, our small town businesses here, I think we could really thrive and grow it annually. And this would be something annually that we would love to take upon ourselves to make sure that we can do.
Awesome. Did you, by any chance, have you read our chief of police's letter and comments?
No, sir, I have not.
I'd like you to at some point. If
Okay.
we could make sure, because I feel like, thank you for that, Chief. That was very detailed, and I think that if the, you know, the people of Salado read it, they'll appreciate it too, because it's pretty thorough, and I think it's relevant. It's just
Okay.
like, you know, wind drift. He
Yes,
covered
yes,
so
that
many
is
things.
one thing that we did. So when we were kind of driving around, I saw the Salado, the Little League fields, how it has the gravel area. We have a big area. So I was trying to think of areas that would not have with wind. Of course, if we're in a fire ban, we might have to adjust, where if it's bad weather, we might have to move it. It might be not directly on July 4th, but trying to see what we can start off with. We even looked into maybe like a drone show. Just we're open to options, just something we can do to bring the celebration here.
Do you live here?
I do.
Okay. Well, thank you and
Yeah.
whoever else you have involved in this.
Well, she left me for Disney, so yeah. So.
Well, this is fantastic. So the golf cart parade, I think, I don't want to get stuck there, but that's a neat idea
It is.
also. And I hope that that's something that could continue to be looked at, because I think that'd be very fun for everybody.
I've been deep diving. I have a whole, from the fireworks, I have a whole thing where we could almost portray it in where all their small town businesses can kind of get in, and we just want to get this started and see where we can go. And this is new to me, and so just seeing what we can do. But our plan is not to put any financial stress on the village, where we handle it, and you guys tell us what we need to do or what we can do, and go that route.
So I will say that I would be willing to bet that if you asked local business owners and other people generally, you'll probably be surprised how many people will help you with expenses on that.
Yes, yes.
In this town.
We were, but we didn't want to start first and then get hopes up until we were
That's fair.
Where we wanted to be. But my daughter plays on the softball team with the Brattons from Johnny's, and they're very much with it, and Mr. Malman. So I think we could have good support.
Yeah, and I read the letter also from the chief operating officer for Salado Lasky. And yes, and I think he was even saying that they would be willing to try to look at designating a parcel of their property for this event that might pose challenges for the golf cart park,
Well,
because
I
it's on the
figured
wrong
we
side.
could do golf cart down Main Street, so it's still small town, like kind of like the
Royal
Christmas stroke.
and Main Street.
Well, yeah, Royal Main Street,
Yeah.
yes. That way there, business there, and then we can, go fireworks show
Okay.
wherever.
Well, I'm thank you for this. I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it more later. I think this is fantastic, and that's great that you guys are taking this on.
I'm
like
sure
this.
you heard my little one over there, so I wanted something I can keep them entertained with, so.
Yeah, but definitely pay attention to Chief Field's letter. They'll
Okay.
provide it to you. And
Okay.
It's got some pretty good information that I think everybody would appreciate us to consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, you got anything?
Yes, I do. I want to thank you very much for stepping forward and doing this. It reminds me of about 60 years ago when I lived in New England, and right out in a suburb outside of Boston, and I was a Cub Scout then, and history and American tradition's a pretty big deal up there. Not Texas history, American history. Big difference, right? So anyway, and they had a common, a park, as they call it, common up there at the end of it, and everybody came to the common and lined up on the main street, and then they had barbecue pits and the whole thing going, and it was an amazing event, and I know they still do that to this day. So I would love to see a tradition like that here, and I'll personally help you raise the money for that through some of the sponsors I know in town. If you'll just grab me sometime and we can talk about that. But I love the idea. I don't see why we shouldn't have it here in a small town. It works better in a small town, and I will highly support this as best I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over the moon on this. I think it's fantastic, especially the 250th anniversary of our country. I think it's a good time to bring that tradition back. For those that know, I mean, Billy Helms used to put an amazing, before COVID, it was better than some of the stuff that goes on in Austin, it was, when I first moved here, I was just blown away, no pun intended. So no, I'm super excited about this. We need more events, and I think, especially if we were to do in the future a laser light show one night, it's on a Friday. It's a Saturday night for 4th of July this year, which is, it makes it extra exciting. So having that 4th of July, that will definitely put heads in beds, and we can become that spot. Because the last few years, if you guys look around, there's been nothing. The Belton Parade is there, but there's really, you're absolutely correct. And
Belton Parade dropped by 60 numbers last year.
Yeah, this small town and the village vibe we have, I just think it would bring local families and so thank you.
Yeah.
As a small business owner, I guarantee you're going to get some support and we'll be talking. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, no, I think it's a great idea, and thank you and whoever else is helping you. It's great for the village.
Mickey Waffles, so we're here.
Yeah, one other comment, if you don't mind, is so I think Billy Helms may be someone we want to reach back out to.
Okay.
Cheryl Park, I think, has been in the past. Is Pace Park even an option as well? I mean, so I think we got to decide on location, but so yeah, no, this is exciting. So do you actually have, because it's the 250th anniversary, sorry, but another couple questions, do you have your firework guy nailed down like he is scheduled?
I have two. So I have two options.
But they may go quick, so it's...
Yes. So I have them there. So I told them that we had a meeting. So he's given me till May 15th. So I have time. But we have it there, and he gave us a really great deal. I mean, less than $4,000 to compete with a show that almost will match 4th.
Fantastic. Okay.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Going to move to 2H, discussion of the financial report ending February 28, 2026. Mr. Nelson.
I don't have anything to add. This is the financial report that was provided to everybody. I sent it out via email. If you've had a chance to take a look at it and you have questions, I can try to answer them. If I don't have the answers, I will find out and get you the answers to those questions. It is on the consent agenda for the regular meeting. As a reminder, these are the February financials. I know it's April. What I would really like to point out is on the cover page, the restricted balance is $2.9 million and unrestricted is $833,000. Those are snapshots in time at the end of February. March, that restricted balance will probably change because we have moved some funds into a different designated restricted account, which I will discuss here in a few minutes on my next update.
Alan, you got anything? No? Jim, you got anything?
I hate to get really kind of concerned that I get so excited about a format I can really understand easily on this, and I want to pass along my thanks and appreciation to Christy, our accountant, and Urian for reformatting these budgets so we can really have a better idea month to month and cumulative month or year to date. And it's just so much easier to read and so much more helpful. I just want to say thank you very much. I don't have any questions with respect to the February, but I want to note that at the end, when the March financial statements come out, it'll also be at the beginning of May. I really would, in that session for the 1st of May with new officers in, and going forward necessarily, I would like to have a quarterly report and ask Christy to come and maybe walk us through this budget versus actual. She's not responsible for answering questions with respect to our numbers, but at least present it in a fashion that quarterly we can give a picture to the community of where we stand and not just one time per year. I think it adds some transparency and a better understanding of where we are throughout the year in our process. And I don't think it'll take long. They publish it and then come in here. We don't need to go line item by line item, but I do think a snapshot of a quarterly report would be very helpful. I haven't discussed this with anybody, but I would love to see us do this on a quarterly basis. We do it annually now, but I'd like to do it on a quarterly basis and see where we are throughout the year. That's all I have on that at this point. But thank you, Ryan, for seeing that was done, and please pass it along to Christy. And hopefully people will be a little bit, can understand it a little bit what's happening between the beginning of the year and the end. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Neil, you got anything?
No, I got all my questions answered prior, so I'm good.
Okay, I have no questions. We're moving to I, discussion on Williams Road update.
Okay, there's nothing in your packet on this. This is just a verbal update. The Williams Road Sidewalks project, of course, as you all are aware, was a TxDOT funded grant project that we are currently working through getting done. We partnered with Salado ISD so they could kind of cash flow the project for us because it was 100% reimbursement based. At some point during conversations early in 24, it looks like sometime between April of 24 and May of 24, the scope of that project extended further than the scope of the grant from TxDOT. So the scope of the grant from TxDOT went from 2484 all the way down Williams Road to West Village Road. At some point, that was extended all the way to the access road, right there in front of the little food trailers that are there. That portion is not part of the TxDOT grant. I had a meeting with MRB, with the folks that are doing the grant, or doing the work, Westar Construction, and the school district the other day, and told them kind of hold on doing that section of this project because I don't know that we have the funding for that. Unfortunately, even though the village entered into a contract to do this work, they were very happy to press pause with the understanding that I would get back with them at some point and let them know whether the village had an appetite to fund the additional $140,000 for that section of the sidewalk to be constructed, or if we needed to say this isn't the time to do that. We don't have $140,000 just lying around. So, you know, the school district is covering 20% of the grant as well as some of the additional work on their project, but they can't cover the entire overage for that section. That being said, you know, the contractor didn't seem really upset if we need to not go through with that part of the project. He's happy to do work in Salado. He loves doing work in the village of Salado, and he knows that there'll be additional work in the future, and he just likes being around here. So he's not trying to strong arm us and say you signed a contract. He's very understanding that we entered into a contract for a scope that was not part of the AFA agreement that we had with TxDOT. So I just wanted to let the board know and receive any feedback. If you want me to look for ways to possibly fund that, I'm happy to search that out. But I can tell you right now, assuredly, I can't just reach into our budget and grab those dollars for that project. So I would need to let them know sooner than later, you know, so that they can go do other projects and not hold themselves up waiting on a confirmation from the village on whether we're going to do this, however far that section is of sidewalk. And there is already a sidewalk there. It's just not as wide as the other.
So I don't understand where the subject area is specifically for this additional piece. Are we only talking about an additional sidewalk?
We're only talking about the additional section from West Village Road to the I-35 access road.
By the food truck park.
So behind the liquor store, down between the gas station and Sonic?
So across from McDonald's?
Yeah.
Across the street from McDonald's. Yeah.
Which Village Spirits right there, right? Is that what we're talking about?
That's not West Village Road.
No.
Right. The one I just described is the same thing? Okay. If, how much time, I mean, I think I also know the answer, but how much time do we have to give this contractor an answer? Are we supposed to make this decision tonight?
Like, there isn't an action item. This is more of a hey, which direction are you guys thinking? Because
So maybe in 2 weeks?
we have a contract with them, but we don't have the funding for them, and they're still out there working, but they need to know what to do. You know, they've got other projects,
right,
and all of that, and I don't want to hold them up.
Understood. I don't have any other questions.
Jim, you got anything?
So we're not making a decision here tonight, but we can go walk that area in between now and then and get a,
Yeah,
the bottom line is, do we have any idea how much money we're talking about?
About $150,000.
Okay, yeah, that helps. So, all right.
That's my understanding in our meeting. So
we could always go back at a later time. There's already a sidewalk there.
there is a sidewalk there. It's just very narrow sidewalk.
Okay.
Which is probably why it was added. But that's way before my time.
Well, good catch, for sure. So, thank you.
All right. Last item, J, discussion on the comprehensive financial notice.
All right, this is me. This is the final agenda on the workshop. Just so everybody's aware, I've been working on this really since I got here. It's not a very long document. It has been shared with the aldermen. This is a document I put together for public review and board, for public release and board review following this meeting. I'm going to read the comprehensive financial notice that I've put together. This addresses the 2023 restricted deposit, bond fund transfers, and the financial position of the village as we sit, snapshot in time, into February financials. In the executive summary, this report provides a comprehensive explanation of several interconnected financial matters impacting the village. A $945,625.08 check received in January 2023 without accompanying documentation, historical declines in unrestricted fund balances, capital expenditure overages in multiple fiscal years, interfund loans to the wastewater fund, auditor recommendations regarding bond fund consolidation, and the financial implications if the restricted deposit were required to be returned. The January 2023 check was recorded as restricted due to a lack of guidance and has been reported monthly to the board as part of restricted funds. However, there is no agreement that governs the funds. If repayment or segregation of the full amount were required, restricted funds would decrease to approximately $1,983,559, and the unrestricted funds would remain approximately $833,411. The unrestricted balance funds payroll and daily operations of the village. In July 2024, the village auditor recommended consolidating the wastewater bond fund into the wastewater operating fund to improve liquidity and allow repayment of interfund loans. This report is issued to ensure full transparency and to outline governance steps required for any formal action. Full public notice. Number one, January 2023 deposit. In January 2023, the village received a check for $945,625.08 from Mr. Collins without accompanying documentation or agreement. The funds were deposited and classified as restricted escrow. The village has not located any documentation or agreement associated with its receipt of this check, and none appear to exist. The amount has been included in restricted fund balances reported monthly to the board. Although classified as restricted, funds were used for internal cash flow on projects experiencing overages. Number two, legal considerations. Because no agreement exists, there are no defined terms governing the use or return. No escrow or other agreements exist, and no repayment or reimbursement structure is documented. Any return of funds or formal escrow designation would require a written agreement between the board and Mr. Collins or his legally authorized estate representative. Following a full internal investigation, review of the State Attorney General and the Bell County District Attorney, a determination was made that the actions taken were not criminally negligent. Number 3, historic financial trends. Unrestricted fund balances for FY21 were $1,326,848. FY22, $975,025. FY23, $681,971. FY24, negative $89,071. These figures reflect operating deficits and capital pressure in recent years. Number 4, capital spending and liquidity. Capital outlays exceeded budget in several fiscal years, placing additional strain on unrestricted cash reserves. The general fund has also extended loans to the wastewater fund. Item 5, wastewater bond fund and auditor recommendations. In July 2024, the village's auditor noted that wastewater bonds had been fully expended and recommended consolidating the remaining bond fund balance into the wastewater operating fund. This would allow partial repayment of interfund loans and improve general fund liquidity. Item 6, the financial impact if the January 2023 check is returned to Collins. If the $945,625.08 were returned, as referenced earlier, the restricted balance would be approximately $1,983,559. The unrestricted balance would be approximately $833,411. The unrestricted funds support payroll and operational expenses. Any payout would require careful cash flow planning. Number 7, audit findings. Full audits have been conducted annually, and reports received by the village indicate that the financial information presented fairly in all material aspects. Item 7, moving forward. The $945,625.08 has been moved from the general fund to a restricted fund. Should there be a need to access these funds, this will require an action of the Board of Aldermen, and all transfer requests shall be signed by at least 2 elected members of the Board of Aldermen with a plan to replenish the fund's access. A 5-year capital improvement plan will be submitted annually with the operating budget for the village, and the Village of Salado Comprehensive Fund Balance Policy will be reviewed updated, and any revisions adopted over the coming months. Number 9, commitment to transparency. This report is provided to ensure full public disclosure, clarify financial relationships between funds, and outline governance requirements for future board action. In addition, following my signature on that notice, I do have charts that provide the unrestricted fund balance history for FY21 through 24, budgeted versus actual net revenues FY21 through 25, capital outlays budgeted versus actual FY21 through 25, the unrestricted fund balances from FY18 to 25, and then the capital outlay projects by cost. With that, I'm happy to try and answer any questions.
Okay, questions, Alan?
I do not. I have a couple of comments. So I don't have any questions right now, but I do want to say that I love to give credit where credit's due, and so I think that the public needs to know that Alderman Lassiter, Alderman Dunch, and Mr. Uriah Nelson, I hope I'm not leaving anyone out. If I am, I don't mean to, but I know for sure those 3 men have worked diligently to get done what a lot of naysayers say we wouldn't do. That's just never been the case. We weren't allowed to. Our hands were tied legally, and as soon as we were able to, we got this done. This was asked to have been done by the former village administrator, and it did not get done. That is the only comment I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any comments at this time with respect to this, but I think it's a good presentation on where we've been in the recent past and where we are today. I'll just leave it at that, and I think the charts and the information speak for themselves, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
No, I just want to thank Mr. Uriah, because I know he has put a lot of effort into this. This is going back over the last 5 years and how we got to the situation we're in. just from some key things I want to point out from a going forward to how do we not make sure we get in this situation again. One, I think it's important that when you read this, and it'll be out in public for you guys to review, that you notice that we are truly putting the restricted funds to the Collins family that was put into the deposit in a separate account. As board members, you will know if we've gone negative. Consider that like a line of equity against your house, because if we financially can't make our bills, we're going to have that'll be at a board meeting that we'll have to vote to pull money from there, knowing we have to give it back. So if you see us doing that, no, we are broke just going forward. Until we build our tax revenues and sales revenues and things like that, and we get out of the situation. But the numbers speak for themselves. We went on a spending spree. We did not have several years of balanced budgets. We did deficit budget, which is fine to have a year of a deficit budget. There's years you have that happen, but multiple years of that, and in addition to that, you will see that projects and the spending and the overspending that occurred on those projects. You'll see we hit the top major projects over that time period, and you can see what was spent. I'm not here or none of us here at this point are here to discuss whether that was the right project, the wrong project, the facts are the facts. So take some time, review this. I know it's been long overdue. We wanted this, as Mr. Alderman Sandor pointed out, this should have been brought out at the time the DA gave their announcement. It should have been at that point, and it wasn't. And we try to do our best to get it out as soon as possible. So once again, I'm sure there'll be questions. We'll try to answer the best we can. But I didn't. And transparency. Please take the time to read it. So because Ryan has put a lot of effort into it. So thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thanks to you guys and the whole team, the finance guys, the audit, all that stuff to put this together. It's what the village wants, what they needed for a long time. So I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, I move to adjourn the workshop. 6:36. Move to adjourn. Let's take 5 minutes, get some water, use the bathroom, and we'll go right back into our regular meeting. To the Board of Aldermen meeting, Salado Municipal Building, 301 North Stagecoach Road, Salado, Texas, April 2nd, 2026, and it is now 18:47. Ms. Cherry, call the roll. Here.
Present.
Thank you. All right, let's take a moment and pray to your faith. All right, please stand and for the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the Texas flag. Public comments, items not on the agenda. The Board of Aldermen welcomes comments from citizens on issues and items of concern not on the agenda. These wishing to speak must sign in before the meeting begins and observe a 5-minute time limit when addressing the board. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak during this time. Inquiries about matters not listed on the agenda will either be directed to the staff or placed on the future agenda for Alderman consideration. No discussion or final action will be taken by the Board of Aldermen during the public comment period. I have one here, Stephen Latson. Yes, sir. Just come to the podium and state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Board of Aldermen. My name is Stephen Latman. I live at 695 Ashley Court in Salado. By trade, I'm a professional engineer and a certified construction manager. I manage large-scale capital infrastructure projects, and I'm here tonight to discuss, to talk about the recently published draft paving and drainage assessment that was published in the last meeting. I'm here to just express concern about the village's balance sheet and long-term financial solvency of the village if we choose to pursue the $30 million in funding to perform these necessary maintenance issues. With regards to Salado's financial report, under modern municipal accounting rules, when a developer builds a new neighborhood and dedicates the streets, drainage systems, and other infrastructure to the village, we record that on our balance sheet as an asset. On paper, the village looks wealthier, but as an engineer, I can tell you that a road is not only an asset, but it's also a liability, and I think the draft paper shows that. It wears out, and as can be seen in that report. Every time we accept a new lane mile of asphalt, we are signing a 20-year unfunded maintenance contract. If we are handed millions of dollars worth of new infrastructure, like was done from the sanctuary development in I believe last year or the year before, we must immediately begin setting aside some percentage of its total value every single year to cover the depreciation and eventual replacement of the pavement. Over the past few days, I've mapped the 91 roads that were indicated in that report. I took the exact costs to repair those roads, mapped it against the standard 20-year life cycle, and compared it directly to the property tax revenue on that roadway. The results show a mixed bag with highly productive neighborhoods that easily generate enough tax revenue to pay for the maintenance on those roadways, along with many local roadways operating at a permanent structural deficit. The homes on these streets do not generate enough tax revenue to cover the cost of the asphalt. By the time they generate enough tax revenue to cover their cost repair bill, the asphalt will already have failed twice. Salado has had issues with infrastructure operating at a deficit, for instance, with the $8 billion debt issued for the wastewater treatment, the waste sewage treatment, the wastewater management plant. My understanding is that we issued $8 million in debt in 2014, 2015. That's only become in the black in the recent years. So to protect our financial future, I'm asking the board to consider a few strategic steps forward with regards to roadway maintenance and critical infrastructure. First, a comprehensive infrastructure audit. Salado has to review the assets Salado has that will also need repairs in the future. We need to demonstrate to our residents that the village will not get so far behind on maintenance again. Second, incorporate traffic data for cost per use. Moving forward, we should overlay TxDOT annual average daily traffic where available, mixed with industry standards for estimating trip generation. This will allow the village to prioritize maintenance projects with true cost per use, helping us objectively differentiate between critical network arteries that need funding and overbuilt residential streets that don't justify the footprint. Third, amend our development ordinances. When a developer pitches a new subdivision, they should be required to provide a life cycle maintenance assessment before we accept their infrastructure. They must mathematically prove that the property tax generated by their specific layout will cover the replacement cost of the infrastructure they are handing over. And finally, perhaps we must rethink existing failing infrastructure. We should evaluate our existing infrastructure and ensure that they are adequately sized, discussing, for instance, downgrading roadways to high-quality gravel as a cost savings measure. We cannot afford to subsidize asphalt in areas that do not produce the revenue to sustain it. Thank you for your time and your service. I have maps and ledgers of this data that I can share with you if that would be helpful.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else for public comments?
I'm Jim Boynton, 3565 FM 2843. A while back, we were talking about roads and ditches and that sort of thing. And Alan Sandor pointed out one thing one day that's very true when it comes to your roads. If we don't keep the drainage going, we're going to end up with sloughed off edges no matter what we do. I took one of the aldermen over there to a place I own on Salado Creek Road. There's a tree laying in the ditch that's been cut up 3 years. The water can't drain. They've got it cut up and haven't come back and picked it up. I've talked to the mayor pro tem one day, explained it to him. He told me that he went and looked, couldn't see anything. There's plenty of things over there to observe. Trees have broken off in the right-of-way, and Councilmember Lassiter saw them. They've fallen onto my place. One of them's been there over 2 years. One of them's been over there over a year. This is one of those problems that didn't get addressed years ago that could have been very easily fixed. But now the trees are all rotting. Jim pushed on one, and it fell over, and it's hung in a fork. It's irritating for me. It's irritating for me to drive down the road on a Sunday morning, 4 Sundays in a row, and see the guy cutting the same grass in January that didn't grow the week before and blowing grass clippings off of the shoulder of Interstate 35. That's not our job. We're going to get somebody killed doing it. But we can't go over there and cut the trees that are in the city's right-of-way that's falling on my place. It gets old year after year after year to ask to at least have somebody come over, and it doesn't have to all be done in one time, but it wouldn't hurt to have them work on it one hour a week. Sooner or later, it'll get done. But when I drive through town and I see our local guy that helps us in the creek bed blowing leaves, and then I hear we don't trim trees, and last week he's trimming trees on Main Street. We do. That's part of being part of the city. And I want everybody here to understand, I appreciate the effort everybody puts out. Y'all inherited a train wreck. That's not an overstatement. It's a train wreck. And so I would appreciate somebody hollering at me so I can go show whoever can cut them up to cut them up, because I don't think it's my responsibility anymore to cut trees in the right of way. Some of them are in the power lines. I even gave Jim the idea of, I know they've done it before because I've helped them before. We cut them out of the power lines. Encore came and assisted. But we've talked about it back in September, and here it is all the way through the winter when we had a little bit lighter time for cutting grass, and we still haven't made it to there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's close, but it's not, the two that are falling off are not under the power line. They're within 50 foot of the power line. But Encore has helped in the past.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Well, we haven't got to the agenda comments yet. Is this a agenda item or a?
Well, yes, it is.
Well, then that's going to be next. This is just for the items not on the agenda. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I thought you would.
It's okay. All right, so no more off the agenda or not on the agenda items. So we'll move to B, items on the agenda. The Board of Aldermen welcomes comments from citizens on issues and items of concern on the agenda. Those wishing to speak must sign in before the meeting begins and observe a 5-minute time limit when addressing the board. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak per agenda item during this time. Public comments on agenda items will only be received during this portion of the meeting. No discussion or final action will be taken by the Board of Aldermen during this public comment period of the meeting. All right, sir, you're up. Formalities.
Yeah, right. I get it. My name is James Stone. It's 2620 Gun Club Road in Temple, Texas. I'm the president of the Music Association of Central Texas, and we talked last year. It's a 501c3 for the last 27 years. It's all about live music. For the last 5 years, we have been highlighting local Central Texas musicians only by holding a music and art festival on the private property of Barrel Brewing here in Salado. It's always been free to the public and no cost to anybody. The local businesses have made a point to thank us, and the entire southern end of Salado is pretty packed. I have no idea, we didn't count it, but it's between 1,000 and 1,500 people come each year. You know, maybe there's only 200 or 300 in any one particular time, but through the course of the entire day. And last year we had 15 bands and 65 vendors. Big festival. In those 5 years, there's been no issues, no problems. It's the first Saturday in November, although this year we may have to change it. How many stay at local hotels? I have no idea. But Stagecoach is right across the street. You can see people going back and forth all the time. A few years ago, the Tourism Bureau, Salado, sponsored us and realized what we were doing. It wasn't a big amount, but it really, really helped. But since then, and of course, when we're talking about the budget, that's kind of went away. And last year, you guys, because of the timing, and it was the night we were talking about, it was like late October, we were supposed to have the event on November 1st, you granted us a waiver, and I really do appreciate that. But today's different, and they're asking vendors to pay additional fees, anywhere from $25 to $100, and a lot of them will probably have to pay $100. And I'm sure that there's some of the vendors that have already paid. I know Katie Hill said that a lot of the people that she normally has, stuff like that. Majority of the people that we bring in are just little artists, and some of them don't even make enough to make it through the day. We've been charged, our budget's basically $9,000. I don't know how we pull this off for $9,000, but that's beside the point, and won't get into that. The vendors cover roughly $5,000 of that budget. That's how we pay for the bands. That's how we pay for the sound, gear, and everything else that goes into it. 2,000 of that has been sponsors, which for some reason has not been one business in Salado, other than Barrel Brewing, which is where we're having the event. They actually give us a small percentage of what they make for the day. which is pretty good. Here's our problem. We haven't made a penny in 5 years. We had about $3,000 when we started doing this. We have about $3,300 in the bank right now. If 20 of the 65 vendors decide this ain't worth it, it's over. That's another $1,500. They're already having to come up with $2,000. That's more like $3,500 in sponsors and stuff like that. And for some reason, it's much more difficult to find sponsors in Salado. Although somebody said they know a lot of sponsors, love to know who they are, but there's just not a lot of business. All of our sponsors have been outside, except for the bureau that one year. We've been charging $75. That means these people will now have to pay either $100 or $175 to do this one event each year. Most of them are from out of town. They're not from around here at all. Anyway, you might have all kinds of arguments. Why should we worry? The vendors have to pay it, not us. But the thing is that if we're down 20 vendors out of the, and I think the potential for a lot more than that is highly probable. It ain't in the budget. It's just not there. And if it gets any more than that, we just end up bankrupting ourselves. I wish we had a bigger budget. And also wish that the Village of Salado could help us and sponsor us to make up the difference, but neither of us have the budget. So I'm asking for a waiver to keep things just like they've been for the last 5 years. I'm trying to think of what we can do in return. We're a 501c3. I'm a PSA guy. We've had billboards on the highway. We've had TV spots. We've done podcasts. We've actually got us on Thursday Night Football last year with an ad for this. And it's not just for this event. It's for something to do in Salado. So we should, I could make Village of Salado a lot more prominent in all of our banners and all the signs that we, put together and all of the ads. The thing is that, I think my biggest budget was $400 for all of that. And that was because we had to pay for the vinyl on one of the billboards. So as a 501c3, I'm able to do a heck of a lot of advertising for free.
Okay. With your time limit up, can you get with Deanna? Do you know Deanna? She's right there. Raise your hand, Deanna. Can you get with her and see what she can help you out with and maybe do an application if you're doing heads and beds?
Oh, you mean for the hot stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, except we don't have any kind of account of any of that. I mean, I stayed there myself last year. The place was packed, but how many have actually come just for that event?
I mean, you can get with the hotels. Get with Deanna. She'll show you how to do that.
All right, well, that would be awesome. Anyway, I don't know what the number of vendors that would have to pay or what have you, or what kind of income you're going to make off of the additional fees for some of these vendors versus the amount of sales tax that we're bringing in at that end of town. So, if anything, it would end up being a wash. But if we can't do this, it's done. And the last thing I really want to say is this. Is it worth losing an event like this, especially one that means so much to local musicians? I don't know why, but few towns around here hire us locals. They just don't. And for some reason, and for 5 years now, at least in our local community, Salado has the reputation for supporting local Central Texas musicians because of this festival. You hear it all the time. It's unique. Salado is also a music-friendly village, and this event is a big part of it, I think. Talked to David for about an hour yesterday.
All right. Hey, sir. I appreciate the comments. Yeah. We're out of time.
Okay. Well, I just hope we can find a way forward.
Yes. Get with Deanna and see what she can help you out with and what Salado can do and the Board of Aldermen can do for you.
I appreciate that.
We thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you. All right, item 2, executive session. The Board of Aldermen will enter a closed executive. Oh, I'm sorry.
Like I said a while ago, you guys have drawn a pretty tough row here, but I want to bring something out that has to do with this money that's missing. That's since part of the discussion tonight. You guys had no idea when you took office who that money belonged to. The former mayor and the former city manager both knew who that money belonged to because I guessed it about a year ago. And they kept saying, we don't know where it came from. We're not sure about this. And so I find out what they were, in my opinion, what they were trying to do is figure out a way to keep that money because they weren't publicizing it. I think Councilmember Dunch is the one that said, put it on the books because I don't even know if it was even on the books of having a negative balance or whatever it was. But they kept also telling the guys out at Hidden Springs that used to come to the meetings all the time that they had been in conversations with Collins's family. That is not true. I'm the guy that went to them in July and asked them if they knew that y'all had almost $1 million of Mr. Collins's money. They had no clue, although they were presenting it as they were in discussions. That's probably not illegal, but it's unethical. And I feel bad for you guys getting stuck with it. But if we're going to straighten it up, we got to start doing everything we can to weed out that sort of stuff because you guys are stuck with the criticisms of this guy. The guy had a great review from his personnel review, and he did this, and it was written by a guy who was one of his buddies. And so, unfortunately, this money, until I told them, they had no clue. Another thing y'all were talking about in the session a while ago is signs around town for these trucks. If you go down Bain Street and look, they're up there, they're turned sideways. So when you drive down the street, there's no way if you're driving a truck you're going to see that sign. It's right up against the side of a hedge, and it's in 2 or 3 spots. You're not able to see them. They're there, but you can't see them. The reason I'm bringing that up is y'all didn't know that, but they're talking about they're going to use the same signs. You can't see them. There's no way, I don't think that you could put a sign there before a truck got turned down the road. No way. But that is something I believe will help our roads because if we don't keep the truck traffic off some of these side roads, they're going to be just as tore up as all the rest. Thanks. Good luck with trying to get everybody to understand. You guys didn't steal the money. Y'all didn't misapply it. It wasn't stolen. It was I don't even know if misspent it. It was consciously spent trying to cover up a budget shortfall by the guys before y'all. That's the truth of it.
All right. Thank you. Any other public comments? No. All right. Item 2, executive session. The Board of Aldermen will enter a closed executive session to discuss the following. In pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, to consult with an attorney about potentially retaining an attorney's law firm to perform professional legal services. And we're going to do that in here, so we could ask everybody else to leave until we call you back in. I appreciate it. It's 7:11. We're going to an executive session. 8:16, we are returning to open session. Item 4, consent agenda. A, approval of the minutes of March 25th, 2026, March 26th. Special meeting, approval of financial reports ending February 2026. Discussions, consideration, and possible action of amending the ordinance 2023-19, regulations on construction, heavy vehicles, large commercial vehicles, approval of the TxDOT project, GCAA Salado Bridge Light Project, and that's it. I can entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as written.
Alderman Sandor has made a motion to approve the consent agenda as written. Alderman Dunst has seconded. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Is there any abstention? That passes 4-0. 5, discuss anything that was removed from the consent agenda. There was not. Item 6. A, discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the 2026 Consumer Price Index adjustment to municipal telecommunications right-of-way access line rates.
Good evening. As discussed in the workshop earlier, this is, if no action is taken by the board, the CPI adjustment will automatically go into effect by the PUC. PUC will only stop the CPI adjustment for municipal telecommunications right-of-way access lines at the request of the village, should the village so choose to decline the rates at this point in time. As I referenced earlier, to my understanding, and I'm not a CPI expert, the next time that you would be eligible for an increase would be the next year. They would provide that information for you, but it would be a higher rate than this to match for inflation next year. So my recommendation as the village administrator is to proceed with the CPI without response to the PUC at this time.
I just have one question. Can we increase it? Okay.
Now, this is set by the public utility.
Okay. What's the franchise fees coming to us? So,
So your recommendation is to approve the increase?
My recommendation is we don't need to take any action.
Oh, I got you.
The recommendation is if the board doesn't take any action, the
Let it ride.
only action that will stop the PUC increase, the board directing is to decline or to submit the disagreement letter to the PUC.
Which will result in a year from now in a more elevated compounded increase.
Correct.
So your staff recommendation, I thought, was
Don't take any action.
sorry,
No
out
action.
of line.
No.
Okay.
So we are taking no action on 6A. 6B, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the allocation of the monetary donation of $500 given to the Village of Salado.
All right. What was it, last week or the week before, we received a $500 check as a donation to the village. That information, I believe, is in your packet. A copy of the check and the receipt. There was no direction given or provided with that check. I reached out to specifically ask what the donation was for and didn't receive a response. I believe Ms. Cherry actually spoke to the individual at some point, and what was the response? So at this point, my recommendation is for the board to officially accept the donation and for us to place it in the general fund for use with our unrestricted balance.
Okay.
Does staff know if said donor has requested any permits or any other things like that from the village recently?
Alderman, I do not know that. Nor did I inquire about that.
That's okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Anybody have a motion to accept the donation, or?
I move to accept item 6B as written.
Alderman Sandor has made a motion to accept 6B as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Dunce. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Any abstention? That passes 4-0. About sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can all do that. Okay. Yeah.
Very kind and appreciative.
Yes, it is. And item C is discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the fireworks event for the 4th of July.
As this was discussed earlier in the workshop, I don't know if there are any additional questions, but the request is to approve the event at this point in time so that they can work to start coordinating any type of fundraising or anything else that they may need to do and start the planning activities to move forward with this event.
I agree. I'll entertain a motion.
Quick question on that. Just for clarity, from a insurance perspective, the people they're hiring, do they have all their insurance and all that? So I just want to make sure that that's covered. So
Yes, sir. That was one of my first emails for her to come back with who was going to be carrying that liability insurance. So we do have that information. I just don't have everything on file until we wanted to make sure that the board wanted to move forward with this proposed event.
then I will make a motion to
One
approve.
second, no, sorry. Before we move to a decision, I would ask that the board consider making sure that the motion includes we're being asked to approve it, and I think every one of us have an appetite for what we heard tonight, obviously, but also we don't have all the details because they don't have all the details, and we have to obviously keep safety a number one priority. That's why you're asking about insurance and things. So when you make it, I would ask you to consider, Chief Fields, somebody needs to review and give a final say on those things. I wish I could.
Well, I think
say
that'll
this
be
more eloquently.
I think that'll be part of the process. Once they figure out who's going to do it, then it'll go through ESD 1.
Yeah, if I may, that was going to be a recommended approval tonight, just so we can move forward with the planning stage. And that planning stage would be between the organizations, the ESD, and then of course PD and the village.
Yeah.
And then we would be able to come back to you with those additional items to include location.
Yes.
So
we're just being asked to approve allowing them to move forward with their planning contingent upon those items.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve 6C to move forward with the possible firework event for the 4th of July, and we approve the planning phase.
All right, Alderman Dunce has made it a motion to approve in consideration of possible action to approve the fireworks for its planning phase. Seconded by Alderman Sandor. All those in favor say yes.
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 All those opposed say no. Any abstention? That passes 4-0. I'll move to adjourn. Motion to adjourn approved. 8:25.